Hello, I'm Tylah Tully. Late last year, ASX listers CuFe, Emmerson Resources and Tennant Minerals formed a strategic alliance to collaborate on copper, gold and critical metals development opportunities in the Tennant Creek region of Australia's Northern Territory. Today, we're here to learn more about the alliance and its progress. Joining me are CuFe Executive Director Mark Hancock, Emmerson Resources CEO and Managing Director Mike Dunbar, and Tennant Minerals CEO Vincent Algar. Gentlemen, welcome. Mark, I'll ask this first question to you today. Can you walk us through how the idea for this alliance first came about and talk us through its key objectives?
Yeah, sure, Tyler, I think, and g'day guys as well. I suppose we'd sort of been talking to each other as neighbours, all having projects in the similar region and looking at different ways that we could collaborate, and we've sort of known each other at a personal level for a while, and felt like there could be something that was worth being a little bit more structured with. So we sat down and got this alliance concept together. We also invited a couple of other people at times to talk about it, but it became clear that Emmerson and Tennant and CuFe's sort of state of the subject of its projects and mindset, I guess, was pretty similar. So yeah, we've formalised it into this alliance. The aim is to really try and give us a initial focus on a central processing facility, which will just enable us to more cost effectively develop our projects without having to individually build a processing plant. That obviously also helps in terms of the cost base of operating costs that you get from synergies of scale, and environmental approval and heritage approvals in terms of disturbance footprints are improved.
As you said, the alliance is evaluating a multi-user processing facility. What are the main factors that will determine whether this is a viable option, Mark?
I think there'll be a fair few different things to consider, but I mean, probably some of the key ones are that, we'll be looking to process the material from the different mines through the same plant. So the flow sheet and metallurgical properties of the different mines will need to support that. We've also got to have a look at, the mines are moving from being in their own, or the processing plants in the location of the mine, to being in a central location. So you'll incur additional haulage costs to get the product to the processing plant. We think that the cost of savings that you'll receive from having a standalone plant versus a joint plant would still make that a very compelling decision, but they're the sort of things that we need to look at. We also need to think about, any impact on how we ultimately funded the plant versus doing it individually.
Thanks, Mark. Vincent, I'll ask these next two questions to you. Can you tell us more about the region's production history and how the alliance is planning to work together?
Tyler, it's really interesting. When we first came together, we were all very much aware that we were in an area that has been one of the most highest grade copper and gold provinces in not only in Australia but in the world, having produced over 5.5 million ounces of gold and 470,000 tonnes of copper. And I think Mike will make some comments later about the market for these metals, but it's very, very topical that this field is rejuvenated. Often when the field was operating, it was multiple mine sites being operated by a single operator, where processing was taking place using what we call a hub and spoke model, which is easy for people to understand, where you have a processing facility and various mines feeding that. And that was done for copper and for gold separately, where in the Tennant Creek field, we have mineral deposits that are either gold only or they're copper and gold together. And that's really important in terms of the processing. The processing methods are quite different. So depending on the ore bodies, our collective resources and our exploration opportunities, this offers us a modern day opportunity with multiple companies to rejuvenate the field. And that's what Mark touched on earlier, that we're of a similar mind to bring our resources together to create a collective that'll move the whole field forward and bring it back. Obviously, the opportunity for us is to, how we're going to operate that, how we're going to work together, is to rejuvenate the field with the alliance, and then by evaluating the field through the course of our scoping study and, if successful, our feasibility study together. And that's quite a unique thing by itself, just noting. And then hopefully going through to funding and construction of that new facility to treat our deposits. And the nature of the facility will allow extensions of that operation through new discoveries on our own ground, and then for new members to join the alliance as we move forward. So that will maximise the opportunity for all stakeholders involved, including governments, communities, and the companies themselves.
As you've said, the Alliance has already begun scoping study work. Can you share any insights on the progress so far and what comes next?
Yeah, look, so obviously we kicked off in October. We put out a short note to the market last week saying that we were still busy. We've been exploring a number of different pathways through the technical teams within each of the companies and some external consultants, the purpose being to develop a scoping study knowledge base that will allow us to make a decision to move forward with a full-scale feasibility study. That we've stated the reason why we're doing that, but the work streams that we've been working on, for example, is the resource bases for each of the companies. In the case of CuFe, doing the working on the resource updates for Orlando and Gecko, and then for TMS and ERM working on our respective deposits at Bluebird, Hermitage, and Jasper Hills. Understanding option analysis around where the plant should go and where the best location for that plant is, because obviously the deposits are spread around, so we've got to look at how that affects where the best location is for a number of different reasons, and then looking at the open pit and underground optimizations around each of the mines. That's very important, especially when it comes to sharing capability or sharing operating resources, and that's really where the key benefit will be here if we're operating in a group. So Mark touched on that. Metallurgically, looking at the test work that's been done in the past, looking at the history, and coming up with a flow sheet and design that's both cost-effective, low capital, and will be very effective for what we're doing. Networking and capital costs is part of that estimate. So that's where we're at. We feel we're moving well. We'll keep moving forward with that and get to a conclusion when the information is all with us.
Thanks, Vincent. Mike, finally, to wrap this segment up, the Tennant Creek Alliance has received a letter of support from the Mines Minister of the Northern Territory. How do you hope his support will impact the Alliance's goals moving forward?
Oh, look, it's important to have support from all stakeholders, not just government, but certainly when the Mines Minister provides support for a concept as this is very, very powerful. It helps us work collaboratively together and also provides us a level of support from the government working on all aspects of the studies, but also how we move forward in terms of permitting and working with the local governments, both in the Barkly but also in Darwin itself, provides a huge amount of opportunity and support for us to be able to move forward. Each of the governments at the moment are really engaged with companies who are trying to work collaboratively, but also then working with companies who have got some critical metals opportunities, which strategically have become very, very important for the nation. And so that support that he's provided to us, which is certainly very, very welcomed, does underscore the significance and the importance of not only copper and gold, but also other critical metals that we do have in our deposits. And so that really helps us to then drive forward how we can work with all stakeholders, but government in particular. So very, very useful for us and very powerful for us to have that support from the highest levels.
So, Mike, given the rise in copper and critical minerals prices, does this alliance open the door for further investment and expansion opportunities in the region?
Oh, look, absolutely it does. One of the hurdles, one of the challenges with any development is commodity prices, and also the ability to flex and move and look at different commodities at different times. So high gold prices, as record Australian dollar gold price today and US dollar gold price today, but also strengthening copper prices, cobalt, bismuth, just to name a couple of the key critical metals that all of our deposits do have to varying degrees, does substantially improve the potential for us to extract not only from our deposits, but also then broaden the alliance over time to bringing in other groups who may not have as higher grade deposits as we have, because suddenly with higher gold prices or commodity prices, some deposits that may not quite overcome the production hurdle can overcome that hurdle. So working collaboratively with us, and I think I speak for Mark and Vincent, that we would certainly also encourage others to join the alliance if they chose to in the future, because we think it's working together is absolutely the way of moving forward and ensuring that production hurdles are lowered for each of the individual companies, but then how we also move forward. So absolutely there are growth opportunities for us. the three of us collectively, but also the region as a whole, to look at other like-minded companies joining the alliance over time, which does provide that support. And I think that's also part of the reason that the government also is so supportive of what we're trying to do. They do see it as a key objective to breaking down the hurdles and the barriers to development. And the Barkly is an area that is incredibly commodity rich, and to reinvigorate that rich mining history really is a key aspect of what we're trying to achieve. So yeah, really excited to be working with Mark and Vincent and their respective teams to be able to look at reinvigorating this entire field.
Well, thank you all for joining me today and giving us the facts of your strategic alliance.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.